Today we're going to be talking about suppressor advancements, more specifically the Strategic Sciences multifunctioning muzzle device. This little bad boy right here. Before we get into it, let's talk about who we are. My name is Michael Jones, former Air Force Special Warfare guy, and we have returning, you have John. John, what's your background?
I was in the military for a little bit.
I hate you so much. Between us, we have a lot of experience in the military with firing guns, firing suppressors. And beyond that, we're also fairly involved in keeping up to date on the technology. So today we're going to be talking about this little bad boy right here. Suppressor technology has been advancing very, very fast the last couple of years. And you might have seen this guy on a bunch of different Canadian special operations rifles and even American rifles. It's been seen most recently on the SIG Spear. So this is a technology that's emerging and is proving to be very interesting in multiple ways. John, is there anything you kind of want to add about that?
I mean, you're absolutely right with suppressor tech exploding, especially with everyone using DMLS, which is, essentially 3D printing with metals. Yeah. And you see a lot of super high performance cans, but they haven't really broken the mold that much. This is crazy. This is crazy.
You wouldn't even call this a can. What would you call it? Like a bad dragon?
A multi-function muzzle device is what I would call it.
Multi-functioning muzzle device. Guys, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about the MFMD. Now, before we get into it, we of course have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel. If you don't know, they keep this content free for you, so we really have to give them, a high five, maybe a warm hug or something. First up, of course, we have Primary Arms. They have been the long-standing sponsor for Grantham for, 3-4 years at this point, and we love them. More specifically, we love their optics, whether it be their HTX-1, one of the best pistol optics out there, or whether it be any of their low power variable options. There are so many good optics from them that we cannot mention them. We cannot say, go get them enough. So go ahead and send them an email. Say, here's a warm hug. We appreciate you. And you never know what you're going to get back. Guys, if you're looking to get a gun that is a good value and also has outstanding performance, we cannot recommend enough Bravo Company USA. BSCM makes incredible rifles. Their MCMR is well known to be one of the lightest rifles while still performing exceptionally well. They commonly use cold hammer forged barrels, and we love them. They are awesome. Go give them a bunch of love. And of course, guys, if you're looking to get a gaming computer, specifically, do you want to game at 300 frames per second on Battlefield 6 and get fragged by some 13-year-old? Well, do we have a company for you? Zydex Computers makes the most awesome computers. Their owner is also a huge gun fanatic, and you know what? That's good enough for us. Go check them out. Finally, all ammunition is provided for by Last Shot Arizona. Now, they're not a bulk ammo manufacturer or distributor, but rather they're giving you that really, really good defensive ammo, 70 grain TSX, all that good stuff. Go check them out. We recommend at least 13 mags. With all that being said, talk is cheap, and these suppressors are freaking expensive. Let's talk about it. So right here, we have the Strategic Sciences MFMD and SDX. So let's talk about what these are, what they aren't, and what benefits they offer, and why they're beginning to take over many military contracts by storm. So let's go ahead and let's undo this guy. So you have two pieces. So this is the SDX right here. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And then right here, we have the multi-functioning muzzle device. So if you take a close look at it here, you can see that more so on just the exit, you have these vents that are over the top. So compared to many other suppressors, I guess what we should say when it comes to the MMFD is that the whole idea was to make sure that the flow of gas is never slowed. So they keep the speed of the gas at approximately what it is as it exits the muzzle. So this allows the gas to cool as it flows at its optimal speed. By doing so, they're hoping, or indeed what they've seen from the testing so far via the Department of War, is that there's not really a deposit of lead that's really beginning to foul up the gun. Now, when you compare this to other suppressors that are currently on the market, many new suppressors use induced porosity, which is simply little pores throughout the metal, and these can really do a good job at interrupting airflow from hot gases as they're expanding through a suppressor. It's a really good way of cooling off those gases and allowing a suppressor to perform well. However, those small pores can get clogged fairly easily and you'll see the performance of the can begin to drop. John, you're shaking your head like you've seen this with a few different cans.
Yeah, the flow through or the low back pressure cans, they're great, but eventually you will need to put solvent in them
to dissolve the lead.
And I'm sure eventually you will with this, but it seems like, at least the way they designed it, it's going to take much longer to get to that point.
So what you typically see with induced porosity in use with suppressors, you typically see about between 5,000 to 7,000 rounds before you need to dip it and dissolve those lead deposits to kind of bring it to where it should be. With the MMFD and the SDX, they say between 20 and 30,000 rounds before you need to service it. Yeah. And this is due to the fact that there is no induced porosity. It's simply airflow going through. And when they did the revisions for this, I have had the opportunity to talk to the owner of Strategic Sciences and the designer of Strategic Sciences. To be clear, there's no exchange of money or anything like that. They did send me the suppressor for free, but this is really common for most of our reviews. As they would shoot it, they'd look for where the deposits were, then they'd redesign airflow to ensure that the air didn't slow down there, to ensure that it wasn't depositing lead at those areas. So a lot of revisions were had, and we have a very interesting looking can. In fact, a lot of people look at the can and say, well, clearly it was designed by AI. But it wasn't. It was designed by physicists and engineers who have very good understanding of airflow, fluid dynamics, and thermodynamics. And we have this, which looks nothing like any suppressor currently on the market. It's kind of like when OSS first came out, if you want to pick up that Hux can. The guy who owns Strategic Sciences and designed these cans was the former founder of OSS, which is now Hux. And when Hux came out, it was also a very radical design, very different. This definitely kind of eclipses that in terms of how radically different it looks. So one cool thing that I want to note about the MMFD right here is that there are different models that can actually recess over the barrel. So you don't have to, you can have one that fits flush, but this one actually recesses about 1.3 inches over the barrel. So this is a 11.5 URGI with a 9.3 rail, and it comes back about 1.3 inches over the barrel. So actually, if you were to compare this to a typical 11.5 URGI with a 3-prong flash hider, you're about a little bit over half an inch longer with this entire thing on here, but you have a fully functioning suppressor right here. So in my mind, this is actually quite good, not to mention that it's also recessed back further than that muzzle device. And once you add the SDX on, you have some insane performance. Now, there is weight to be concerned about. These do weigh about 15.7 or so ounces. This is a little bit less than the RC and about pretty comparable to the RC2 Mini. But once you add on this behemoth right here, you add about another 10 ounces or a little bit more as this thing gets leaded up, because that will eventually happen. So it does weigh more once you add this guy on and you have that ultimate crazy flash suppression. But the performance, I think, is there, but we're going to prove that today. So there are three main things that the MMFD is known for. That's going to be flash reduction. They note a between 99 to 98% flash reduction. It's going to be, of course, sound reduction. They say that all guns with the MMFD on them are hearing safe, which means under 140 decibels, which is pretty common with what you'd see from like the RC2. That's very common for it to bring it down to that level, but not the RC2 Mini. And then finally, the last thing is going to be bolt carrier speed. So that's going to be how much back pressure do you have? They claim nearly zero, and they claim about plus or minus 2% change in bolt carrier speed, which we'll actually test today. But before we get into all that, let's do a few tests here. Let's shoot it a little bit, and then we'll get into our testing. John, you ready to shoot this guy?
Yeah.
You've actually not shot, you've only shot this thing maybe 5 or 10 times so far?
Yeah, a few rounds, and it is ridiculously quiet. Even without, which, this is the SDX?
Yeah,
what does
the
that
SDX.
stand for?
So it's the, was it suppressor extended, because they have two. They have one that's also shorter. Okay. But this is just like the ultimate, if you really wanted to kill all flash, kill sound anymore, then you could throw this on in a military operational environment. Obviously, this was made for the military. Because of that, it's a bit of a bitch because you have two suppressors with each thing, but luckily tax stamps are zero at the very least.
And apparently, and like I'd like to see this tested, is if adding this on messes with
back pressure.
That and point of impact.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. We'll try all those things today. Let's get shooting to start. I just want to show how crazy the suppression device extended is. Thank you, Preston. So you can see you have the main baffles right there, but they're very interesting in how it's directing the airflow. Then you have the 4 vents on top that are angled and then cause that airflow all throughout that design to flow out the tops. And then, of course, you have the main baffles at the center. It's a very, very bizarre design compared to what we've typically seen. But man, apparently it works. We'll do the full testing today. Let's get into it. Now, I'm still going to put on Hearing Pro because, well, hearing damage is cumulative, and you want to protect your ears. But we'll start with the good old bill drill. That's 6 rounds, at 7 yards and under, about 2 seconds or so.
All right. Field drill, shooter ready, stand by.
7.
7 rounds, 133.
Okay, one more. Oh,
118.
hesitation, 118. I'll take it. Okay. Good. A little upright on that one. I think I got a little antsy.
117.
Nice.
Very good.
Feels good. All right, John, you ready? It's so cool that you have an 11.5 barrel, but it's like recessed back, almost as if you had like a 10.3 with like a 3-prong on it.
The only downside is you don't have as much rail space, but that's not the end of the world.
You could also do the flush fit, to be clear, you know, to where it flush fits at the end of the muzzle. But I thought this was kind of a cool concept. All right, shooter, are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Nice. 129. Give you one
Try
more.
that one more.
Nice. 128. Clean.
He's smoking me.
Right. Dude, let's go ahead and let's throw this muzzle device on right here. Let's see how that changes things for us. One thing I want to note is if you look right here, we've already shot quite a few rounds. But if you look at the bolt carrier group, usually you have a good amount of soot already depositing. It's fairly clean after a good deal of shooting already. So this would kind of lead me to believe that the back pressure is fairly good. Let's try with the big old dong on there.
No plate carrier. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Oh, you put it on instant?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right then. Okay. Ooh. 118.
Nice. One more.
1 Charlie.
Yep.
Stand by. 136.
Nice. One Charlie, the rest clean. It feels like a lot less recoil. Of course, you're adding a bunch of weight out to the end, so that makes sense. But it's significantly quieter with this guy on here.
The only thing I've noticed is, I mean, and every suppressor does this just about, is that thing is toasty.
Toasty,
right
gets
now.
hot. Well, it flows that through the entire thing, so I don't know if that makes sense, but it's using every little bit of space, and that thing is getting hot. It is Inconel, as a quick note.
Oh, you smell that Syracuse?
Oh, yeah.
That's good for you.
Nice rugby shirt, dude. 114? Sorry, 111?
Ooh.
That was a 114. You
Oh,
get
that's my
some of that?
necklace. I thought that was brass. I'm
You
gonna
got
give
your
it
little
back.
low-cut shirt right here.
Oh, yeah.
Nice, 119.
You see that smoke that's just like hanging out right there at the end? Here,
Of
I'm
what,
gonna
the
probably
suppressor?
like 3 rounds.
Yeah, so that apparently has to do with how they designed it, where they have a lot of that gas kind of just sitting there at the end. Some type of physics thing apparently that really helps with the cooling and the recoil mitigation properties, according to the owner. Interesting little device, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of like, I wonder what kind of end that would put if you pressed it against someone's face. Would
Yeah,
it hot like that?
You got the bad dragon imprint on your face. So we've done a good amount of shooting here. Compared to performance that I typically see with the URGI, a little slow today, but it feels literally the same. The recoil definitely feels less with the MFMD compared to even any suppressor that I've really shot at this point. I mean, any suppressor is going to really kill a good amount of that recoil just because you got weight out at the end of your gun, etc. But this feels really, really good. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to go down range. We're going to have John shoot at us, and we're going to have him shoot with the MFMD with the SCX on there, and we're going to compare it with the Blackmagic, and we're going to see how those two sound at 100 and then 200. So hope you guys are excited to get shot at again. Here we go. What you thinking about right now? It's getting shot at. So we'll have John. He'll be shooting at us with the MFMD first. Then he'll add the SCX on, and then we'll compare that with the Blackmagic, which is one of the newest issued suppressors on the Sons of Liberty Gunworks Mark I, which is a phenomenal rifle. We'll be having the camera pointed right at them so you can hear the reports pretty well, and then we'll give you our impressions as well. It's hard to get a good decibel reading because decimeter that's going to measure accurately are incredibly expensive. We'll get one of these days, but you're not going to be buying a $1,000 one and even getting very good performance. You need very quick response time to get good readings. So hence why we don't typically use a decimeter, as a quick note. And if somebody's using a decimeter that's like $200, well, you're not really getting the peak amplitude now, are you? Okay, first up, we're getting the Blackmagic. Let's see what this one sounds like. Hit it!
Hey, I'm gonna do 4 slow, 4 fast.
Sounds good. All right, 4 slow, 4 fast. It's a very nice report from the Blackmagic. Okay, now we got the MF. Okay.
Was that with the SDX or without?
Was that with or without?
Without.
Holy shit, that was quiet. Sorry, excuse my language. This is a family channel. But that was, the Black Magic is an incredible suppressor, so don't let me talk down on it. But that was very, very good performance on the MFMD. To be clear, I'm not shitting on the Hux can at all. It's a very, very good can. But it's kind of wild. I guess the Bad Dragon's doing really good. I shouldn't call it that. Have you seen the Bad Dragon dildos? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? It's like all knotted and curvy and stuff. I hate that I know this. I blame furries. Bane of my existence, bro. If I see one of you on the range, I'm going to This is with the SDX attached. That was so quiet.
The ricochet was significantly louder.
Yeah, the ricochet was way louder. Okay, now we're gonna hear 1-1-1. So between the Black Magic and the MFMD with the SDX. Good. Wow. Even from, I mean, you can clearly hear the difference between the two. Between a very well-performing can and a very experimental, not experimental, it's clearly being used operationally, but man, that sounded really, really good. I kind of didn't expect it to sound that good. Like you always hear, like, oh yeah, it does XYZ decibels down. It's like, all right, buddy. But that was clearly heard. What about you, Sawyer? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't wear my hearing probe, and with the Black Magic, it was a little spicier than the Dragon.
It was, and we do have to, of course, point out that the MFMD with the SCX is, of course, a longer, heavier can compared to the Black Magic. So not exactly an apples to oranges comparison. Well, it is an apples to oranges comparison, but still goes to show, you know, the type of performance that you're getting from it with everything on there should you need a very low visibility option. 5.56, I've always said, like, I'm not really that big on the sound because 5.56 is breaking the sound barrier, but gotta eat crow a little bit right here because that sounded really, really good.
Also, why can't people compare apples and oranges?
Well, they're completely different fruit, you know.
Like
An apple has to be crunchy, an orange has to be. All right, so we're going to be doing a little bit of long distance shooting here just to prove that it's not affecting accuracy or anything like that. So in an 11.5 barrel, we're going to be shooting at about 450, 500-ish, and just 77 grain OTMs from good old Last Shot AZ. All right, I would say that's pretty freaking easy and consistent there.
Your misses were just barely off the edge.
Nice. So obviously the URGI is very capable of making these types of shots, and the suppressor adds no type of change in the reliability and accuracy of the weapon, which is important because I'm sure that's something you were wondering with the suppressor recessing back over the barrel, but clearly I'm not really seeing much of a change at all. Next up, we're going to be doing a flash suppression test. So with the MFMD and the SDX, they claim quite a bit of flash suppression, up to 98 to 99%, depending on barrel length. So there's no better way to test that than with our Phantom camera that we have right here, which can do up to 500,000 or 1 million frames per second. We're going to be filming at approximately 140,000 frames per second. This will allow us to see every aspect of the exploding gas as it exits the barrel. So first off, we'll of course be testing the MFMD. We'll be testing it with the SDX to see what its muzzle flash is like. And we'll be testing that directly against several different firearms. Namely, it's going to be the Sons of Liberty Gunworks Mark I with the Black Magic, which is a current issued can, because it'll be interesting to see its performance versus this. Finally, we'll be taking the upper off of this Geisley, this is going to be Sawyer's, and sticking onto my lower so that we have the approximate same bolt carrier speed, roughly, with the springs and buffer weights. And we'll be seeing what the muzzle flash is going to be like with this, and then with the suppressor right here. You want to grab that, John? Which suppressor is this again, Sawyer?
That's the Exigence Fire Team.
Oh yeah, this is a really nice one. So we'll be seeing what the muzzle flash is from this, but then we'll be testing bolt carrier speed after. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. Okay, first test, MFMD, 77 grain OTM. John's got a little note here.
Cool. So we just attached the SDX, right? We give it a little bit of time for this to evacuate, or rather refill with unburnt
yeah.
oxygen. First round pop is always an issue with cans, but we don't want to skew the test, so we gave this time to like all that burnt up air to displace with normal air. So now here goes a normal first round pop test with the SDX on it.
All right, let's see the flash suppression. 77 grain OTM SDX. Next up, we have the Sons of Liberty Gunworks Mark I with the Hux Black Magic. 77 grain OTM. Okay, unsuppressed, we have Geisley Super Duty right here, 11.5. Fire. Okay, so we've now tested flash with everything here, and after reviewing the high-speed footage, the thing that I'll say is that the MFMD had phenomenal performance, as did the Black Magic. Now, the thing you can notice with the Black Magic is it did have a little bit more flash compared to the MFMD, but it had very good performance nonetheless. Once we added the SDX on here, flash appeared to be completely non-existent. John, what were you thinking of the performance?
Yeah, there was basically nothing. There was a little bit of a jet with the Huxworks. It looked like it wasn't bad.
No.
And I think it also kind of gets into what do you value when it comes to a suppressor. Call me Unk, but I still like the Surefire attachment system and the Hux attachment system simply because I like to be able to take the can off the gun and have a very robust and high performance muzzle device.
I understand.
The Hux cans are good at flash mitigation, same thing with the Surefire devices. But if that doesn't apply to you and you want the absolute best signature reduction and you don't think that you'll ever take the can off, then I'd say that's the evident winner.
I was very surprised by the flash suppression on the MFMD. Pretty incredible overall. Very, very good performance. Obviously, you saw the performance of the flash hider right here on our Plan B mount. Did really well. Just isn't going to compete with suppressors quite as much. So MFMD, it definitely matches up with what they have said. And perhaps even better. They might have undersold it a little bit. Very impressive performance. Okay, let's check bolt carrier speed. What's so important about bolt carrier speed?
I mean, if you have a bolt carrier group that's slamming to the rear way too fast, you're going to run into all kinds of problems. The number one thing I could think of, aside from additional recoil, is bolt carrier bounce. And that'll give you light primer strikes and obviously beat the gun to death way faster than it should. And this apparently has next to zero of that. As we were shooting it, I could tell there was a little bit of gas, but it's almost non-existent.
I mean, I would say it's definitely on par, perhaps less than the Hux can, from my personal opinion. I know you thought it was about on par or so, maybe a little bit worse. So definitely some disagreement between me and John on that. But suffice to say, it does have very low back pressure. Now, they advertise this as about a plus or minus 2% change to bolt carrier speed. So we'll be shooting this with the MFMD, shooting it with the SDX on. Then finally, we'll be putting this upper right here on my lower so that we can get relatively same bolt carrier speeds to test it without a suppressor, and then with the Exogen Arms fire team right here. So we'll have a good comparison of how a normal suppressor increases bolt carrier speed, normal bolt carrier speed, and compare that with the Strategic Sciences to see if it truly doesn't change that much. Let's get it done. Okay, bolt carrier speed, we have the MFMD along with the SDX on there, firing 77 grain OTM. And let's go ahead and let's see what it is. Okay, starting out, we just have the MFMD on there. We're gonna go ahead and see what our bolt carrier speed is like. We have 77 grain OTM. Okay, right here we have the Geisley Super Duty, which is an 11.5, same barrel length as our URGI. Some differences, this gun isn't shot as much as our URGI. Better lubrosity, it's just gonna move a little bit better. So there might be some slight changes because of that. But we've also put it on our URGI lower to ensure that we have the same buffer springs, buffer weights, all that kind of stuff. All that being said, unsuppressed, 11.5 with 77 grain OTM. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, we now have the exigent defense on our Geisley Super Duty to show bolt carrier speed increase with a more traditional baffle design. So we've reviewed the bolt carrier speed footage, and compared to without a muzzle device, with no suppressor, the MFMD with the SDX is very much so in line. Even with the Exigent, you saw a TD increase in bolt carrier speed, but it also did a very good job. But it certainly conforms to the plus or minus 2%. I didn't notice any change in bolt carrier speed, which is really speaks a lot to how well they have designed the suppressor and the airflow. So we have all that. Everything that they've said seems to have matched up with everything that we've read on their stats. I thought this would be like some type of snake oil kind of, because it looks so weird.
Flash in a pan, maybe.
Yeah, flash in a pan, you know, but it's certainly proven to be very, very good for what it is. Now, there are a couple cons to it. John, you've kind of talked about this a little bit.
The biggest thing is it's not that bad, but it mirages a lot and it gets ridiculously hot really fast. And that's not the end of the world. That's kind of just how it is because of the way this thing functions. It's my understanding, you said earlier, it tries to, as best as it can, pressurize the entire system all at once. And that's, to me, that seems like the culprit. Again, that's not like, oh, it's terrible. It's just you'll get a little bit more mirage off of this thing faster than most other suppressors.
Yeah, I do see the miraging a little bit faster on this. Is also an unconventional type suppressor, so it's just getting a little bit hotter. Now, in addition to that, I will say that the increased surface area that you see throughout it does seem to cool it off quite fast.
Probably, yeah.
So it does cool off fast, but it's just something to be aware of, especially for for whatever type of shooting that you're doing. Obviously, these are used on a lot more than just 5.56 guns. These are originally designed for 338 and 50 cal guns, and they work extremely well with often reduced recoil compared to those guns with a break on them, which is pretty incredible data. The thing we have to kind of talk about here is that these are specifically made for a variety of different rifles, from the Sig Spear to KDEX to the Barrett to 300 Blackout, tons of different ones. Now, there are different lengths for recessing into the barrel. This is a 1.3, so 1.3 inches of barrel are recessed into that. It says gawking them right in there. You can also have a point. I knew that was going to make you laugh just a teeny bit, John. I just live for this. You have a 0.8 as well, and then, of course, you have a flush fit, like you got a Mark 18 or something like that. And that goes for every other, suppressor host that's going to be going on. For larger sniper rifles and marksman's rifles, you see that there's more up to 2 to 3 inches that it can recess over the barrel, which is very cool in my opinion, because it brings that center of weight back. Dude, I hate to be able to just get something in such a glowing review, but I really think this is a very, very, very good suppressor.
I think it shines the most on something like an SPR or maybe a 6.5 gas gun, maybe an MRGG, something like that. Just ultimate suppression, very little back pressure. It can obviously handle a high round count. It's just the mirage is kind of annoying. For the 5.56 specifically, I think this would be right at home on like an 18-inch SPR. I think that's like the perfect can for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it excels at that. I personally like it a lot on my shorter guns, quite a bit. I understand the miraging issue, but being that I'm not really worried about the miraging for a lot of the close fighting and stuff, I think it's just a very good can.
I will say sound-wise, that's the quietest 5.56 can I've ever heard to date. Whenever we were over there, like 80 meters or so, just shooting, just messing around, and we were talking, and whenever you fired this, it sounded like you clapped your hands.
It's really good performance.
It's insane performance.
Now, here's the problem, guys. This does cost a lot of money, so you're looking upwards of 3 to 4K for both sections here. So that is the part that really sucks. You see this a lot in emerging military technology. Nothing we can do about that, guys. Merely report on it. But I would say it's a very good can. I would definitely recommend you trying these out. It brings a lot to the table. I'm very interested to see the evolution of this can in the future. I could definitely see these designs becoming more mainstream in the near future, where it's no longer a can, but you just got the Bad Dragon on the end of your gun set.
I wonder if it's possible to make this some kind of QD attachment, because like I said earlier, I still like either Huck suppressors or Exigent or Cat with the hub system. I know there's flaws to it, but I love that because I can have any kind of QD attachment system I want just about. This is of course direct thread, and is the juice worth the squeeze to have a non
device?
non QD?
I think so permanently. If you can bring me his Super Duty over there? So one thing that's interesting to note is how similar these are in terms of size with just a flash hider on there. So if we line up these two handguards right here.
Collapse this real quick.
It won't collapse all the way.
Let's figure to get it.
Yep. Okay, so one thing that you can look at is even with the flash hider on this typical 11.5 URGI, with our 11.5 that we have right here, with the MFMD, it's barely extended out past the flash hider. Now everyone's wanting smaller and smaller cans. I do think that there's some note to be made that it might be a good idea to look at these recessed cans and really shrinking the weight, but keeping the performance of a suppressor. So I think there's a lot to be said there. Obviously, once we add the SDX on there for ultimate, flash suppression, it's gonna be longer. But this alone, to me, is a very impressive metric to look at. I do think that you'll see a lot more what used to be called reflex cans or over-the-barrel cans being used more often, because I think it's a very good idea, especially with how we're able to 3D print cans and redirect airflow. Just a cool evolution in suppressor technology overall.
Yeah, I'm somewhat at a loss for words. It is insane what people are able to come out with now, especially with 3D printing.
Big man, little words.
It's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. I still like the more traditional stuff, but this is still. I mean, this. Yeah, I am on. But I mean, it looks like this is the future, or I guess the now, actually.
Yeah, the future is now. Well, anyhow, guys, thank you for staying tuned with us as we went over this very interesting concept and design. We have plenty more cool things coming, as always. Survival in Ukraine, drones, anti-drones. Stay tuned, guys. Always got more stuff for you. That's all for today. And final thing for you guys could be a little bit of dad advice. A little bit of dad advice for today is going to be make sure that you hit a little bit of cardio there. Whether it's incline on the treadmill, a little bit of Stairmaster. Make sure you smoke yourself and get that heart working for you. Otherwise, it's going to be very sad when the heart stops working for you because, then you're dead.
Just lift weights faster in the gym. That's cardio, right?
That's cardio.
Yeah.
Many things can be cardio if you try hard enough. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget our Patreon. You want to play video games with us, die, have a good time, watch me and Sawyer just suck at Battlefield 6. Get in there. John will hop in with something very from time to time, and it's a really good time.
Allegedly.
It's a really good time. Point is, we have a great time. All right, guys, we'll see you later.